Hi guys, so I was going to make this about my life story part 3, but I've decided to make it about lockdown 2021. January and February of March of 2021, I was locked down here in Portland, Dorset, in a place called Easton, and I wanted to show you where I lived for 3 months. I walked by all these cottages up here to Wakeham. I'll show you. So there's cottages, and this is Wakeham. That street is called Wakeham. And I remember walking through all these cottages, and they had little lights, little lanterns in the window. I don't know if they still have them. And it made me miss my home. And when I look back now, I come back here every year. Let's see if they've got the little lanterns in the window. Oh, there's one there, little lantern in that window. And they're beautiful. Oh, I'm falling down this little hole here. Millie Mile Cottage. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. And this is the Portland Museum. And there's the street Wakeham. And there's a castle here. And we're going down to Church Oak Cove. I'll show you the castle maybe later. There's the museum. I'll turn it back around. Lovely museum. So for 3 months, I went up and down these steps twice a day, sometimes more. So that, oh, look at this place, it's lovely, really lovely. And some lovely people that I met live in there, and I'll take you around. You guys ask me where my favourite place is in all the over 7,000 miles I've gone, and this is it. This was my homestead. The people of Easton, the people of Portland are incredible, and this was where I lived for 3 months. I remember coming down here, like I said, past all of the lanterns lit up, and sometimes getting in my tent and crying because I just wanted to go home. I just wanted my ex to call me up and say, come on, come home. But it had to be done. I had to be here. It was my choice, and my choice to walk away and live in a tent, and not to get my own flat or anything. But we knew at that point, well, we thought that I should move out. And when I get to the Cove, I'm going to have a little chat with you. But look at this. This is my buddy Rufus. I love him. I love Rufus. I talk to him every night, and every morning I'd say, good morning, Rufus. Good night, Rufus. Look at this. Rufus is a castle. So there's 3 castles on Portland. Portland Castle. There is Rufus Castle and Pennsylvania Castle, which is right near where we've just come from. But this is the ruins of Rufus Castle. Pennsylvania Castle is still intact, and you can actually get married there. But this was where I walked every single morning. I would walk up the steps and go volunteer at the food bank and the volunteer centre. And at night, I would go by myself down 150 steps and live in this beautiful cove for 3 months. It's magical. I'll show you from the top. And this is Church Oak Cove. There we go. Hello.
Hello, alright.
And this was my home for 3 months. Down here in my tent during lockdown. That's where I lived, and it's absolutely amazing. Look at this. Absolutely breathtaking. The most magical place ever. And there's Rufus. And I'm going to take you on my journey during lockdown of 2021. Isn't that beautiful? Look. It's just amazing. Absolutely amazing. Right, let's go down these 100. Let's go. See? I did this twice a day for 3 months. I was nestled in my tent down there. I had a seagull named Gully and a robin named Red. And I said good morning to Rufus and good night to Rufus. And I cannot believe since this journey since I was here, I've done probably 6,000 more miles. Let's go down. I remember one point, my iron levels were really, really low. As women get during menopause, you actually bleed a lot. And that was happening to me. And I don't eat meat, so my iron levels were so low. I remember one time getting halfway up the steps and calling my friend Anne, who was a nurse, and telling her I can't go anymore. I was completely out of breath. And we went to Dorchester Hospital and I got some iron pills. And I think they may have given me a bag of blood and then put me on some high iron pills. But I'll tell you what, walking the coast or living on a cove when you've got any kind of woman stuff like that going on was quite challenging. So you can go down that way if you want to, or you can carry on down here. Look at Rufus. Isn't he amazing? If you've never been to Church Hope Cove on Portland, this is my favourite place. You must come. And there's only one, but I had no internet, no phone service, no people for 13 hours a night. And I can tell you, it was magical, but it was also challenging. I started seeing faces in all the rocks and I wanted to go home. When I went up to help at the food bank and the volunteer centre, I wanted my ex to call me and tell me to come home. Now this is my friend's. This is my lovely friend's plaque. It's her family. That's her family. They made that little seat for them, in remembrance of them. And they grew up loving this cove. Now, if you go up that way, there's the ruins of a 13th century church and what they call the pirate graves up there. Now, we're still going down the 150 steps. Isn't it amazing? There we go. It says to the beach. That's new, because they don't want people to go that way, I guess. So they made a little sign. So, this is Church Hope Cove. Now sometimes in the far corner of the cove, I sometimes got internet and I could say goodnight to my friends or family. And when you spend 3 months, I'm going to sit and talk to... Oh, what's that robin gone? Like I said, I had a seagull named Gully and a robin named Red. Do you hear the birds? It's wonderful. It looks like somebody's got a bird feeder down there. That's so lovely. And a rat got in my tent, so a lady let me live in her cabin. I'll show you. Look at that. So this is where I went for 3 months. And you know what? The people of Easton, like I said, were so incredible. A lady down here who's got a cabin named Christine. She washed my clothes for me once a week. And a man named Duncan and his family, they bought me treats. A lady called Sean. There was always some hot drink or something. I knew there was going to be water here, so it was a good place to be. See? They've since painted. That is beautiful. But this is the way I went. That's the way to the beach. This is the way I went to my homestead. So I come down here. Up here. Now this lady that owns the green cabin, this is Christine's. And the lady that owned the green cabin, she did a beautiful drawing of my tent. It was not Aggie. I didn't have Aggie. I bought a nature hike tent to have here on the cove because I didn't want to leave Aggie here for 3 months and risk any damage. And thank God I did, because a huge rat got in my tent, ate my Warburton's bagels. But here we go. That's where my tent was. So, right here. So this was my home for 3 months. And when I was here last year, I still found a couple of my little face rocks that I had drawn faces on. I don't know if they've been moved now, but they were here. I think that's one of them there, look. Yeah, that's one of them, look. See the face? That one looked like the Grinch, but that's one of the faces I had. I had a little pile of rocks, face rocks. And isn't it beautiful, guys? But I can tell you I cried many a tears here. But it was also a magical time. I felt like we had come here, Pete and I, my ex and I had come here a couple of years before. He brought me down here, I'd never seen it. And I said to him, oh my gosh, I would love to be a mermaid living on that cove. I would love it. Never imagining 2 years later, I would be the mermaid living in the cove. And when the rat got in my tent, guys, I'll show you where I lived for 3 or 4 weeks. Let me show you. So there's some more of the cabins. Look at it. It's absolutely magical. So a lovely lady who swims here some mornings and has a house in the village, she said to me, when the rat got in my tent, I met a lovely lady that lives there, a lovely lady that not lives there, that owns that one, a lovely lady that owns that one, a lovely lady that owns that one. And this is where I lived also. I might try and do a live video in a minute and see if I can get live from the corner where the only place you get internet. I'm going to take you to the cabin where I lived for 3 or 4 weeks. And here it is. So I graduated from being in my tent over there. Look at it, it's so magical. It's a special, special place for me. A very special place. Now somebody, look right there. Now somebody did come down here to get some advice on hiking after lockdown. And let's just say it was a poor choice of mine to get involved with that person, but we'll leave it there. I let somebody take a bit of my rainbow and unicorn away, but it came back. And let me carry on showing you. And then I'm going to sit down and have a chat with you about what I've learned in this over 7,000 mile walk. And that this right here is my favourite place of all. You can actually walk up here, and there's a camp spot up there, and there's another castle up there. But look. That is where sometimes you would get the internet. Sometimes you'd get the internet right there. And I'd say hello. And good night. To family and friends. It's funny having boots on instead of my hiking boots. Don't walk on the rocks with Doc Martens on. Better to do it in hiking boots, guys. Look how beautiful. Now sometimes one night, there's a heart right there, look. Now one night the sea came all the way up there and I ran to the top because I was worried it was going to come in the cabin. And also one night when I was in my tent one morning, it was pouring with rain and I told my friend I'd contact her by 12 o'clock and it was pouring with rain and I thought I'm going to get all my clothes wet. So I thought if I put my bathing suit on and my poncho and run up to the top of the stairs, the 150 steps, and say, I'm alive, I'm alive. And that's what I did. And that way I only had a wet poncho and a bathing suit and I didn't get all my clothes soaking wet. But I'm going to sit over here and I hope you can hear me, or shall I go up there? I think I'll go up there and talk to you up there. And let's go up there, shall we? And I'm going to have a chat with you. Let's clamber up through these rocks again with no hiking boots on. Dr. Martens. Lucky I've done this before many times. Whoop. There we go. Oh, it's warm now with my scarf on. Take that off a little bit. Right, this is where we go. Here we go. Oh, there's one of the faces that I remember that's still there. Look, it's kind of a funky face. Sorry for me sniffing. I'll wipe my nose in a minute. There's another one of the faces, look, the little eyes. It's warm. There was a big face over here too. Looks like some of it's moved. There it is, it's still there. See that? It reminded me of a Ninja Turtle with a mask on. Still there. You can walk up that way, but it's dangerous. Well, it's not dangerous if you know what you're doing, but slippery for those that don't. Look at that. Whew. I'll take my jacket off a minute, guys. It's actually warm. Lovely and warm. Hold on one sec. So this is where I lived for 3 months. Oh, let's see if I can lean on here. So what I wanted to say to you guys is, now my head's getting cold, I'll put my hat back on. Hold on. A little bit cold. What I wanted to say to you guys is, in life, you know, we all have losses, we all have brokenness, we all make mistakes, none of us are perfect. But one thing I've learned on this journey, especially since living on this cove and the 2 years since I left this cove, the one thing I've learned is that my hat feels skew with. One thing I learned is what matters is love and families and relationships. Spending time on the Orkney Islands and the Shetland Islands and here on Portland and the Isle of Man, people care about each other. Families, you know, work together, and I think what I've learned is that I know I'm not a therapist and I'm not here to give therapy and stuff, but on this journey I've learned that, you know, that we all point fingers and we all blame other people and we all look back and, you know, and don't ever look in the mirror at ourselves and don't ever think about, you know, the mistakes that we've made, the things that we've done as individuals ourselves, and maybe we weren't easy to live with and stuff like that. I came down on this cove, and for 3 months, like I said, I lived alone every night, and I shed many tears, and since then I've walked so many miles. But I come back here because it reminds me of where I was and how sad I was. And it also reminds me of the growth that I've done, the fact that I could go back to my ex and apologise to him for my behaviour sometimes as much as his behaviour. I think you know, when we all we all treat relationships and sometimes families like a disposable razor. You get a little nick and you throw it away and get a new boyfriend, or you disown your family or whatever. And you know, we're all a product of where we've been through and things we've been through in our lives and everything. And does it matter that we all have our silly ways? And do we not learn to, when you love somebody, do you not learn to work together to understand each other's thoughts and feelings, and not point fingers? All I'm saying, guys, is if you're sitting there and if you're sitting there and you're thinking about, you know, and how unhappy your life is or your relationship or something, go live in a tent for a month. Go live in a tent for 6 months. Go away from all those things that you love, your home, your partner, your work, your little schedules and everything. Yes, sometimes it gets mundane and everything, and everybody says to me, you know, that they want to do what I'm doing, and it's incredible, but it's sometimes I want to do what you're doing. Sometimes I want to close my eyes and be back in my little home and have my little life back. Because it's never been easy. Nothing we do in life is easy. We are all on a journey. We're all traveling. We're all on an adventure. Whether you're an adventure like me and others on the coast, or whether you're an adventure in your job or your life, at the end of the day, we don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. We can blame everybody else. I can blame my son for the fact that he doesn't want to talk to me. He can blame me. My ex and I don't blame each other anymore. I'm hoping we're friends, because honestly, when you invest so much time with someone, is it not better to take a break? And I actually don't agree with counsellors and stuff sometimes for marriage counselling, because I think when you've got to the point when a complete stranger has to sit you down and tell you how to love your partner, or how to run your relationship, you know, maybe it works for some people, but I find that, you know, maybe I'm wrong for saying that, but I think sometimes taking time apart, sometimes learning about the other person's, you know, what makes the other person tired, and when you need to leave them alone and stuff like that. And I'm not just saying it for me, because I know that, you know, my ex has gone on with his life and I'm doing my life. I'm saying it for those of you, unless you're being beat up, abused, there's alcoholism, there's anything horrible, and then those little things honestly don't matter. They really, really don't. You know, it's the commitment of families, some families that I met in the Shetland and Orkney Islands and the Isle of Man that have been, you know, husbands and wives that have been together 60, 70 years, because they didn't give up, did they? So, but when I think of the person I was on this cove and how vulnerable I felt at the end of the 3 months of being on this cove, I was desperate. I was desperate to be held. You know, I hugged people a little bit in the day. Oh no, I didn't, because it was COVID. Of course I didn't. So by the time I'd spent 3 months down here living alone on this cove, when I was used to having a boyfriend and workmates and volunteers and friends and family, I was so lonely, and I was so desperate for someone to say, you know, you're okay, or someone to give me a hug. And I carried on my journey, and I did walk a little way with somebody, which wasn't the right decision for me or him. I had a little walk, let someone join my walk, but I'm not going to go into detail about that because it's not a happy time for me. But I'm not going to, you know, I was at a point where, you know, I had cried and I wanted to go home. And if you are crying, if you are lonely, if you are sad, you will get through it, I promise. Because when I look back to what's happened to me in my life since living here and having lost everything, I think, wow, I've seen puffins and I've seen so many different islands and met so many incredible people, and I absolutely love all the people that I've met. You have been just amazing, and the people of Portland have been lovely to me. I just wanted to come down here and just say, guys, just never give up, okay? And I will be starting my journey soon. I will tell you soon where I'm starting it from, and I'm excited for you to share the rest of this journey with me. And the reason of the post where it says I'm a fraud, because I go out there every day and I act like this big titanium woman here. Where's my little tattoo? And I act Let me get it. Hold on. So there it says titanium. And there's my cove. Not my cove, but... And I act like you say, you inspire me, you're so tough. But guys, I cry. I've, in the past, texted my ex too many times and begged him to talk to me like some of you have. Your heart tells you one thing, your mind tells you another. But you know what? You will get through anything. Whatever you're going through in your life, you'll get through it. And if you need help, go talk to somebody. Go talk to a friend. Go talk to a family member. Go, you know, if you need counselling, go get counselling. And I know maybe I shouldn't have said about marriage counselling, but I find it a bit unromantic and a bit whatever to go sit with a stranger and talk about, you know, why it doesn't get my husband excited anymore when I tickle his back or whatever. No, I'm sure it's more to it than that. But anyway, so, and another thing I want to say that we do that is a bit naughty, as women, we always tell our friends all the bad things about our partner or our husband or whatever. Oh, he did this and he did that and everything else. And then we're building up, guys don't do it as much as women, but we're building up them to start disliking the person that we love. And then we wonder why they don't get invited to a family function, or they wonder why, I thought you didn't like him, and then suddenly you're having a picnic on a cliff top with him the day after you said, I don't want to be with him anymore. But anyway, just be kind to each other, guys. Just think about what you've got. And I say to you two things. If you love your partner and if you love your life, think about how you would feel if you walked into the living room and they had another person's name on their Christmas list. How would you feel? Because I felt that feeling. And also, never forget the feeling you felt when you met the person you're with, the person you love. And no matter if your children are mad at you, never forget the feeling that you felt the day you gave birth to them. Never forget the little things, guys. Because if I'd ever thought that at 53 years old I'd be living on this cove for 3 months, if you'd ever thought that I'd be walking around the coast path, walking 7,000 miles with a backpack and a tent, yeah, I wouldn't have even imagined it. But mind you, none of us would have imagined ever having face masks on our faces and not being able to talk to anyone and hug anyone. But yeah, even when you're lonely, guys, don't let the wrong people into your life. Even when you're sad, even when, you know, rebound relationships, anything like that, when you're, just take time to find you, take time to strengthen yourself up, and don't let the wrong people into your life, let the right people into your life. And the way I describe this, I'll say it again, I've said it before, a lot of people on this side of the road is a garden of flowers, and on that side is a garden of stinging nettles. And sometimes we keep jumping in the stinging nettles and wondering why we're getting stung when actually there's a lovely field full of flowers. So anyway, this is not about digging at anyone, because sometimes, you know, I can be an impossible creature, and the fact that my ex was with me for 7 years, and he can be an impossible creature, and so can your husband, and so can your wife, and so can your children. But what matters is, how would you feel if one of them was gone tomorrow and they were just, as my poem says, they were just a picture on the wall or a photograph on a mantelpiece? Think about what makes you rich, guys. What makes you rich is who you love and who you've got in your life. And silly things like chopping someone's nails, or combing their hair, or running a bath with them with candles, and all those little things. Don't forget to do those little things. And guys, I know this is a coast path journey, but I've met so many families that have taught me so much. They really, really, really have. And I thank you for letting me into your homes and into your lives. Mrs. Claus, hello. Mrs. Bond with her 3 lovely boys. Elizabeth on the Shetland Islands, Laura and Faye, and all of you. Oh, just so many people I've met. Anyway, I better get up those steps before it gets dark. I didn't bring a torch. Love you guys, and I will be telling you soon where I'll be starting from and the date I will be starting from. This week I've actually sorted myself out, because last year I took a break. I'm still trying to do my poetry book, but I've got some fillings that need doing. I've sorted that out. I've got an appointment tomorrow. I've got one of those horrible lady things where you have to put your legs up on the things. I've got one of those on Thursday to check my lady bits. all those things that sometimes you forget about to do, especially when you're walking a journey like mine. You can't just stop off at the doctor's. So this is my take care of myself week for my birthday, which is Friday. I love you guys. I'm glad you enjoy my poetry. It's how I express myself, and you all mean so much to me, and thank you so much. Count your blessings, honestly, guys. I'm not a therapist, but I'm your friend, and I don't want you to ever be in a situation where I've been, where you've lost everything and your heart is broken into a million places. Love you lots. And thank you for all of you for the support and care. And this is my lovely cove. But it was my homestead. Look at that. Good night, Rufus. Right, I'm going to see if I can quickly go live. Lots of love. Bye.